All right, guys. Obviously, as we sit here on this Monday, it's always nice to be 2-0 and not play your best football. And I still think the best football is ahead of us. I don't think our kids are particularly happy as well after just watching the tape and seeing the situations we put ourselves in. The details weren't there. That game very well could have been 30 zip or 42 zip. And you just leave some plays out there, which, like I said, it's great to win a football game and still have a lot of things to clean up, and that's why they call us coach. It's why we like to coach the game, is to make things better. We're like the doctors of football, and we got to go get to fix them all. If nobody got sick, there wouldn't be a use for doctors. If nobody messed up and had problems, there'd be no use for coaches. So that's why they call us coach. We look forward to correcting some of the things we made mistakes at and clean it up. So I'm very optimistic with the type of football team we have, I like what I see. Period. So, questions.
Pat, how much of what happened on Saturday can be attributed to no spring ball, a disjointed off season, and just things being all kind of messed up during the summer?
I don't think anything, Jerry. We could sit there and say that's an excuse, and that's exactly what it would be, as an excuse. It has nothing to do with it. We've had plenty of time to get stuff right. It's normal game stuff. What I saw Saturday is nothing different than I saw last year, game 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 or 7. We're always going to make mistakes, and as coaches, we want perfections. We're striving for perfection, and we'll take some excellence there. But we're not going to get perfection. Kids are going to make mistakes. They will not be perfect, and we'll fix some mistakes, and they'll make other mistakes that we got to correct. That's just the nature of the game. I mean, those other guys are on scholarship; they make plays too. Offenses and defense, and even special teams do different stuff that you didn't expect to see, and it's just all the detail stuff, the penalties and all that stuff. The stuff that really bothers me, because that sets you back and could cost you a football game.
At Jason Pinnock and the safeties, I mean, they've seen receivers like Atwell before, but what were you hoping to see?
I don't know what that was. Tutu is a great player. He's explosive. He's probably a 10, 400-meter guy. Might be, one of the fastest receivers we've ever faced. He's excellent. They'll try to get him matched up on Paris and obviously DeMar in the slot receiver spot. He's dangerous. So we're going to have great eye control out of our DBs to stop Tutu. I love that name too, Tutu.
Do you think Paris and DeMar are particularly anticipating that matchup?
I think so. I think everybody would like to, play against the best, and he's, obviously a preseason All-ACC guy. I think that's what you play this game for, is to get matched up and show what you have against the best. So it'll be a great matchup for both of them, and both of them will see them for sure, because they'll run formation to the boundary. So Paris will get his taste, and DeMar will obviously get it to the field.
Dez Fitzpatrick is kind of their other bigger receiver, big body guy. I think he was actually recruited by you guys at one point. I guess, if you remember, what did you see from him in the recruiting process? And I guess, what have you seen from him kind of on tape?
Yeah, I don't remember the recruiting process. I mean, I remember the guys we get, lucky that. But, I know he's from Michigan and Farmington Hills kid. But I can't remember the recruiting. I have to go back and look at my notes on Jump Forward. But he's a great player. Doesn't matter what he did in high school and if we recruit him or not. It comes down to what he does on tape. And he's a big-bodied receiver. He'll go up and get the ball. He's strong, got strong hands, and again, somebody else we have to deal with.
How did Marquez grade out against Syracuse?
Marquez did a great job. I was excited for Quez. He played really well. He made the tackles when he needed to make tackles, and he covered well. He played pretty darn good.
After reviewing the tape, have you seen anything that indicates what's going on with Kessman?
Yeah, we've noticed a couple things here, and he had opportunities. We'll get it fixed too. Same thing, coach wise. That's our job to get him right. I don't know how many of you guys golf, but sometimes you can think too much about this or that, and you think, I'm going to fix this, or I'm going to keep my elbow straight, or my hands on my club are different, and maybe fix my feet. Maybe it's my shoulders, keep my head down, look at the ball. All those things. There's so much to do at that position that sometimes you just got to wipe it clean and start fresh. And that's what we'll do with him this week, and I think we'll get him right.
Pat, can negative thoughts also creep into pre-snap penalties where guys start thinking, I'd better not make a mistake, and then they still do?
You know what? Yeah, it certainly could. And, to me, it's just more nerves than not. I don't think they're sitting there saying, hey, don't line up wrong, and then they line up wrong. I mean, the one Bryce Hargrove, you guys go back and watch it. They called illegal procedure on Bryce Hargrove. He does what he normally does. He's in a 3-point stance. He's looking back for the indicator from the quarterback, and he slaps the center, and they called him for illegal procedure. It's like, what are we talking about? So there's some things that I guess on TV gets blamed on our kids, but not necessarily.
What did you make of the running game? You went to the decision to give Vincent Davis a bigger role. You get the 4-minute drive at the end. I know you talked about, but just as a whole, what did you think of the way you ran the ball on Saturday?
Vince did a nice job. I mean, like I said, nobody's taken that thing over and said I'm the guy, and so I think it's kind of a work in progress still. There's again, Sibley did a nice job when he was in there. AJ did a pretty good job when he's in there. I mean, there's so many things going on protection wise, running the football wise that we're just going to continue to see who's that guy back there.
If Vincent is the kind of every down guy, does that make someone like Daniel Carter a particularly effective change of pace, and that he's just a very different back and a lot bigger that he can run straight at somebody?
Yeah, and A.J. Davis the same way. But, yeah, Daniel Carter is that physical one. I mean, if you had to put them, if you stood them right next to each other, one would be, as thick as this podium. The other one would be, as thick as this mic right here. And they're two different pace guys. And Vince is quick twitch, got a lot of wiggle to him, and Daniel's going to, run through your chest.
Did you watch the Louisville-Miami game on Saturday night? Obviously, you guys got out of Heinz Field relatively early.
Heck yeah, man! I was home early for that game and spent a lot of time watching it. And if I didn't watch it then, if it was played at the same time our game is, I'm watching the TV copies, just to see, I like to see every view you possibly can.
What was going through your head? I mean, obviously it was a track meet, high-scoring game. As you're watching, kind of, what were you kind of keying in on? What did you notice?
I'm just trying to look at everything. I'm trying to, just like I would at a normal football game, when you don't see the all 22 videotape that we'll see in the office the next day. But you just notice their speed. That's what when I'm watching, I'm going, they're fast. Their O-line is aggressive. They're very, very aggressive. We're gonna have to work on cut blocks on the backside of some of their wide zone. They love the wide zone play. And defensively, they're active. They're athletic and they can run.
That being said, your defense has put up some impressive numbers through the first 2 weeks. Do you have to change per opponent, or do you try a guy that just tries to sort of like, hey, this is how we play, and this is how we're going to play, and we're just going to kind of come at you?
They'll know how we play. We're going to kind of come at you, okay? But, I wouldn't say we change anything. We've installed our defense back in fall camp, just like we did our offense, and then we kind of melt to you. We're going to adjust things. We got this big bucket of defense, just like we have a big bucket of offense, and then you pull it out and say, I don't like it, put it back. Hey, I like this. Let's wear this today. So it's really just tweaking your defense weekly to what we need to do to stop what they particularly do well. It's 2-2 this week. Last week, I give credit to Jason Pinnock. He locked down, Taj Harris. Taj we knew lined up on their right, our left the entire game, and Jason Pinnock, we lined him up. And that was part of tweaking it. Usually Jason lines up to the boundary. So we played what we played, but Quez, you were to the right side, and we put Jason Pinnock to the left side, and Jason locked him down the entire game, okay, until he, locked him down. And any time he had him one-on-one, the guy didn't do anything. We took their best player out with just tweaking what we do. Sometimes we're field boundary. Sometimes we're right-left. Sometimes we're, far sideline, near sideline. So we just, and that's just talking our corners. Like, what's the plan this week? I don't know. But, we'll have it figured out.
What has DJ Turner brought to your offense through 2 games?
He's somebody that Kenny can rely on. DJ's done an excellent job of catching the ball. He had, I think he had 3 catches Saturday. He had 2 really nice catches that were not easy balls to catch, but he comes up with them. And you guys have watched tape and games here the last couple of years, and I was throwing behind him. It was a tough catch. Sorry, coach, I didn't get that. DJ, he's making those plays for us, and that's the first thing I said. In the offense staff meeting is that guy is making plays for us that maybe weren't made before, and the tough catches. And I think that's what great receivers do. Anybody can catch it when it's right here, but who's catching it down here or behind you? Because there's not going to be perfect throws all the time, and quarterback's under pressure, and he's going to throw it, and hopefully you make a play.
How did the offensive line grade out as far as pass blocking and run blocking?
Hargrove was at 93%. I think Carter Warren graded out at 92%. Jimmy graded out at 87%. I'm just kidding you, making up some percentages. I mean, the grade they grade out solid. I mean, I think we had one winning performance up there. I'd say, who was it? Golly, I think Carter Warren graded out at winning, and everybody else was high average. Which they all graded out at just about winning. I think against Austin Peay. When the competition steps up, obviously it's a little bit different. I always say if a guard grades out at 80%, does that mean the D tackle graded out at 20%? So all those grades are subjective, and they did some nice things. I'll put it this way: forget grades as a whole. I thought our offensive line played much better, even though they got winning grades a week ago. Okay. I thought they played better Saturday than they did the week before. I thought there was more physical play. I thought guys stayed on their blocks. I thought they sustained. I was much happier this week with their O-line than I was the week before.
It looked like Keldrick got in there for a little bit at right tackle. What did you see from him in his first taste of ACC action?
Not as clean as you'd like. They showed him one new front that he had never seen before, and I don't think he had a good answer for it. But he didn't play great. He didn't have a winning effort, put it that way. But again, he's still young, new. And it's a different speed for him, but he's athletic, he's tough, and he'll bounce back.
Would you rather face them coming off a win or coming off a loss like that?
Say that again?
Would you rather face the team like Louisville coming off? Would it be better for you guys if they had won on Saturday as opposed to them losing, or does that affect 1 week to the next?
I think we got like 15 people on here, and I could ask 15 people. They'd all have a different answer. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter. We get to face Louisville, win or loss. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I mean, they're gonna be prepared. We're gonna be prepared, and we get to go play. I mean, I really can't. Well, I can't answer that question because I don't know. I mean, it's just like we're playing with minds and feelings, and it doesn't matter. I mean, I'd much rather come off a loss personally because I think you're hungrier. So, I expect we're going to get the best Louisville team. They're going to be, sour there. So what would you rather have? Who knows? Maybe they're feeling sorry for themselves. Maybe they don't bounce back. It doesn't. You're flipping a coin.
Kalijah Kancey had the second most tackles for loss and second most sacks on your team on the day. How did you feel after now that you looked at the film about his performance, and do you think that he'll see an increase in snaps, or he'll change up the way that you're using your interior defensive line?
Yeah, we rotate those guys through, and Kalijah's had a heck of a game. He's explosive. We want to see Kalijah do that every day in practice as well. So if you guys can pass that message on, it can't be a sometimes thing. I don't want to hear about gamers. I've had gamers come out and say, Coach, I know I didn't practice very well, but I'm a gamer. Well, guess what? We ain't going to find out in the game because you ain't getting in there. And he's gotten better every week. Kalijah's a football player. We know he's explosive. He's got an ability to get to the quarterback. He dish rags and people just chucked him away. He'll get better. He's still a baby, and he's learning how to practice. He's learning from the older guys, and it's just a matter of, fitting into that culture as far as the way we practice every single day. And he's going to be a great player for us. And his, based on Saturday, his reps will increase, but so will his practice habits too.
You said
Cunningham and Hawkins. Obviously, we haven't touched on those guys yet. What does Javian Hawkins do that might be different from other backs you guys have faced in the past? And then Cunningham, just I guess how he operates the offense.
Yeah, Javian is he's explosive. Put it that way. I mean, he looks like he's shot when he gets the ball. He looks like he's shot out of a cannon, and that's another thing you notice. Besides the O-line, running their tracks in zone, is you notice Hawkins is running downhill, and he's flying. So I think that's the one thing you notice about him. And then, obviously, Michael, he's a great player. He's got a great arm. Throws all the intermediate balls really well. Can throw the deep ball. He can run, and he makes good decisions for the most part. So, obviously they're happy with him. He's a high-ranked quarterback in the ACC in the country, and there's a reason why. He's athletic. I mean, the guy can do a lot of different things. We're We're going to have to wrap him up. All those guys. I mean, Tutu, Javion, and Michael, we're going to have to wrap those guys up because they're explosive. A lot of weapons.
You said you felt like that game could have been 42-0. I think it's pretty easy to figure out how you could not give up those 10 points on defense, the one big play and the turnover. How can your offense double its production from what it showed on Saturday? What are the things you need to see from them?
We got to execute. I mean, when you watch the tape and it's like, well, one guy didn't do this, whether it was a chip in a defensive end or a tackle inside on pass protection, so Kenny's got time to throw it where it's supposed to be. Kenny missed a couple throws as well. He wasn't perfect. So I mean, it's just making plays when you're supposed to make. Don't have a penalty in this area. I mean, we had 3 times where we got to go send our field goal kicker out there. And I said we can all point at the kicker, okay, but there's those fingers pointing back at ourselves. That how about we score touchdowns when we're down inside the 25-yard line? I want touchdowns. I don't want field goals. I don't want to send the kicker out there. I want to send our offense out there, and I want to celebrate in the end zone. That's our goal on offense. Is they don't sit there and say, hey, our goal is this week to kick a bunch of field goals. It's got to be, the goal was to execute in the red zone, sudden change situations, whatever it may be. I mean, we had 2 sudden change situations. I think we punted once and kicked a field goal. Maybe it's 2 field goals, but, we didn't score off those short fields, one at the 49 and one at the, 33 or 30. I think it was the 33-yard line.
Alex Kessman is capable, Coach. How was that conversation, and what kind of adjustments does he think he needs to make those kicks?
Yeah, I mean, we won't get into the adjustments. I got a ton of faith in Alex. He's a mature kid. He's smart. He gets it. He's the last guy that wants to let anybody down. So it's like I told him, hey, I'm not sweating it because I got faith in you. I know he'll get it fixed. And the great thing is he didn't cost us a loss. I mean, he's out there getting his practice in, and he's not doing well. So he's no different than a left guard or a corner that didn't cover a guy or held on a play. He didn't execute properly, and neither did Kirk the one time, as far as just putting the hold down. So, I got a ton of confidence that he's going to get that thing done, and not worried about it.
Coach, all you think it was far from a perfect game, and you said that at halftime, and you still won. What does that say about your team?
Yeah, it tells you we got again last year we'd play down a little bit, and we'd come back at the end of the game and try to win it. So. I like that part. I think we got a great football team. I think we can, do great things, but we got to execute and pay attention to the details more. And again, I go back and we practiced really well last week, but we almost practiced so well it scared me. So we'll find out what we do this week practice wise, but we got a good football team. We got a football team that's capable of going to do whatever they want to do.
Pat, you mentioned the offense needs to deliver, execute in the red zone, but I mean, other than the pass to Jordan, I mean, a lot of the stuff was just, short, and even the touchdown to Wayne was intermediate. Were there plays open downfield to be made, or was it just there wasn't maybe time for those plays because of the pressure Kenny was facing?
Sometimes it's a pressure. Sometimes there was guys open. You'll see there were some guys open at times that we didn't hit, and so it's a little bit of everything. It's a matter of just executing and having time and everything being right. And again, it just can be a running back that just slips off and doesn't, get a big piece of that 3 technique, whatever it may be. And then all of a sudden the quarterback gets pressure, has to run to the left when it's open to the right. So sometimes happens like that.
Nobody else is going to ask. I see you're wearing the shirt. What do you think about the uniforms for this week?
You know what? I love the uniforms. I've kind of known about these uniforms for a couple of weeks. The Steel City, pride, I guess. I don't know if I'd say I was involved in some of the designing, but hey, I like that. I don't like that. But, when you talk about the devil, Samuel yelling the devil with the hammer's hand and all the steel in this city and in the cathedral. I mean, if you knew the whole backdrop and the story about it, and Joe Magarac, who, cartoon character, and the gloves are kind of got the yellow reddish fire where you can bend steel with your hands. I think it's a neat theme. That I don't think our kids really realize what they're putting on. I think they like to look, but I want to make sure they know later on in the week really why it looks like it does. But it's Pittsburgh, through and through. It's Steel City, and we got to go out and play with some pride with those things on.
You think there's anything to the mentality of look good, play good?
I think for sure. I think if we went out there and dressed in our rags, I don't know who asked that question, but if we went out there dressed in our rags or in our pajamas, I think we might play like we're half asleep. But if you look good, you do play good, and we want our kids to look good. And I think they look good in our normal uniforms, and I think, the kids love just a different look to go out there, and I think they'll be excited.
Pat, you've talked some about the disappointment of Saturday. Can there be some good that comes from that? Where at this early point in the season, guys don't get complacent or maybe are feeling themselves a little bit too much.
No question, Craig. You hit the nail on the head, really. I mean, there's always good from it. Like I didn't go home and pout and because you got to win and they're hard to get. Regardless, I mean, you're playing an ACC opponent. They're hard to get. We've seen that they're hard to get through the years here, and again, we as coaches expect that perfection, as we talked about earlier. We're not going to get it, but we want to get as near as that as we can, and it's my job to get the team prepared mentally and physically to go out there and perform as best they can. And when they don't, obviously I'm going to be mad, and again, it'll just make our kids come back hungrier this week. If we'd have blown them out, then I'd really worry about them thinking they can just blow everybody out every Saturday. So. There's some really good to it. And again, there was a lot of great plays out there, guys. I mean, there's some great players offensively and defensively. Negative coaches, we always talk about the negative stuff, unfortunately, but that's, I don't remember all the nice plays. I remember all the, are you kidding me? Why did he do that? What happened here? What are we doing? Those plays are the ones that coaches focus on that. The things that look good, you're like, okay, I don't need to address that.
Pat, I know it's kind of weird talking about statistics nationally because not everybody's playing yet, but if you look at the ACC as, I think, 11 teams in the top 40 defensively, is that just a byproduct of just the offenses being ahead of defenses this time of year, or is there something maybe to be said about the way the defense is played in this league?
I think there's only 40 teams playing maybe. I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't really look at the stats. I don't even care. It's weird. I don't know how the whole year is going to go. The Big Ten's going to play. I think the SEC playing this weekend. I don't even know. It's just weird. The whole deal is weird. I don't know how the AP poll works. I don't know how the USA Today. That's supposed to be a coach's poll. It's the dumbest coach's poll I've ever seen. They should take the word coach off it when you don't have teams that are playing in there and you have teams that haven't got a win yet and other teams have played 2 games. I don't get it. So I don't look at the stats, the polls, all that stuff is like it just doesn't. You can't compare it to like normal years. And again, you could go and say, hey, we're number 1 in rush defense or number 1 in passing offense. But right now, it's like, what does it matter? How many teams are even playing? I mean, it looked like there were 6 games canceled last week because of COVID. And, I'm focused on our football team, trying to get better every week and making sure that our kids stay healthy and safe.
Let it be known, I just asked a defensive coach an opportunity to tout defense, and he punted on it. So, that's not your style, man. You're supposed to say this is like the 85 Bears. No,
the defensive coaches, they love punts. I mean, when you're a defense coach, you love the punt. So we've just punted. Again, I'm telling you the truth. I'm not telling you, what you want to hear. I'm telling you that it doesn't matter. First of all, it doesn't matter what we've done in 2 weeks. It matters what we do after 11 and then after a championship game or bowl game, whatever you end up getting to. It doesn't really matter. That's a fact.
Jerry and Chris, I think you had questions, and we'll take 2 more. And Jerry, we'll let you go first, and Chris will let you conclude things.
All right, thank you. Pat, in that vein that Will was talking about there, Pat, I know you don't pay attention to these things, but do you think your players know or care that this is one of those rare games between 2 ranked teams?
No. I don't think they care. I don't think they knew. EJ told me that yesterday. I was like, I don't think they know. I will not mention it. I don't really care. I'm worried about one game right now. I'm worried about a really, really good, talented, athletic Louisville team coming into Heinz Field. And I'm worried about how our kids are mentally and physically prepared for that game.
Pat, speaking of you're facing a ranked opponent, can you just give us an insight of you're heading into a week of practice? Who are some of the young players that you're looking at specifically this week? Now that you've had time to look at the tape and you're getting ready to say, okay, these are the guys I need to see do more this week or step up in particular.
Yeah, I would say Izzy is one of those guys at tailback that you want to see just have a great week of practice and go out there and explode. Offensively, I want to see Danny Marega get a little bit more action as well. Again, not necessarily a young guy, but a new guy. The receiver's already done some stuff. And then defensively, Bengali, Kamara is a guy that is talented. He's athletic. I'd like to see him, not jump over the punch shield as freshmen sometimes do. And he's got a chance to be a really good football player. So I'm trying to think of who else. I mean, Did I mention all the young guys? Probably missed somebody. Somebody will be mad. I mean, and possibly Deion Hayes. We'll see what Deion's got. And he's just, he's gotten reps last week, and we'll find out where he is. But, man, with Rashad Weaver and Patrick Jones out there, it's hard to put some young guys in there. And you mentioned Cansey already, so.